quite the exciting video today. I'm going to be covering 3 companies that I think if you invest in today, you're going to be a very happy, wealthy investor in the future. And that's not only because they have strong histories, but they have strong growth potential for the future. And these 3 companies are going to be Netflix, Apple, and Home Depot. And I came up with the acronym of NA because if anyone tells you to sell to these companies, you just need to tell them, nah, ain't gonna happen. Because these companies have a lot more going for them than I think people care to think about. They don't think about the big picture. So that's what we're gonna dive into now, and we're gonna start with the big dog, Apple. Now, Apple, again, just became the most valuable company in the world, edging out Microsoft, and this is gonna be a battle between them back and forth for probably quite some time, but I think Apple overall will be supreme and be at the top the majority of the time. And Apple recently announced that it is coming out with a fully autonomous car. We'll call it the Apple iCar. And this is something that is very extremely, ambitious of them. And why is it ambitious? Because there's not a fully autonomous car yet. In fact, let's look at this video real quick, kind of talking about that.
Let's point out what we're talking about here in terms of a fully autonomous vehicle, because where we are right now and where the industry is headed, wildly different. Right now, we have level 3 autonomy. That means partial self-driving. I cannot stress this enough. I hear this all the time from people. They say, well, Tesla's autopilot can drive anywhere. No, it cannot. They may be working on that, but there is no fully self-driving vehicle out on the road right now. There are many that have level 3 autonomy. The next level up would be a high level of autonomy, almost to the point where you don't need to have a steering wheel in the vehicle, but it's not 100%. Level 5, which is what Apple is targeting, is complete autonomy. In other words, you get in, it drives. It would be ideal for a robo-taxi service, or you could see individuals owning a fully autonomous vehicle, though many believe the robo-taxi business is more likely to be the area where you first see these vehicles.
All right, so as you can see, Tesla isn't even there yet. Yet Apple says they just announced it out of the blue and say, we're gonna do it within the next couple years by 2025. And so, that's very ambitious. I hope they can get there. If not, I think they will at some point within the next probably 8 to 10 years. But let's keep in mind a few things, okay, that I don't think people are thinking of. Now, Apple stock has just been roaring. It's at all-time highs right now, and I think this stock has a lot more growth ahead of it in the next couple years, not to mention the rest of my life. But what people aren't thinking about is this. There was this article that stated that, the average driver and passenger spends more than 600 billion hours in every car. That's all the drivers and passengers out there combined spend more than 600 billion hours in cars every year. That's huge, right? And what is the value of that? They asked the question here, what's the value of a human hour of time traveling in an Apple car? That's a very large number, and to take any piece of that, Apple is going to make so much profit off of this. And how are they going to do that? Well, how else? Through probably subscriptions, right? So this is probably going to be not something that individuals will necessarily buy. I'm sure there will be, but I think they're going more towards a shared service type of, vehicle. Think of like Uber or something like that. It's going to be a ride sharing service or something like that, where you probably subscribe to the Apple iCar. You say, hey, I want to go here. It picks you up. Maybe a few others are going to be in there that are going to the same place. Or you can have a night out with friends, right? And have that iCar pick you guys all up and go out there because you all are subscribed to the service. And if that is the case, you're all paying for it. Multiply that times all the millions of people that are probably going to be subscribing to this eventually. It is going to be huge. Now, they say there will not be a steering wheel or pedals in this car, which to me sounds a little scary. But I'm sure they're putting everything and all the thoughts they can into this to make sure it's safe. But it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. But just imagine getting in a car And maybe it's going to be like everyone's sitting around in a circle, and there's going to be an entertainment in the system in the center where you can play games, watch movies, or look out the window and enjoy the scenery, but not have to pay attention or stress about the road. I hate long road trips because when you're a driver, it's it's so tiring because you're having to put off so much energy to focus on the driving. To not be able to do that would be huge and it'd be awesome. And so I think this is something that people aren't thinking about. Subscriptions are where it's at. That's how companies are making big money. And where Apple succeeds is they have a whole ecosystem that people, I don't think, put into the equation often enough. And this is something Tesla doesn't even have. So Apple has the Apple phones, the iPods, the MacBook, the iPads, the Apple Watch, Apple Music, Apple TV, probably a lot of other stuff I'm not even thinking of, but they are very subscription based and they have great products. And add to that the Apple iCar. I mean, you're going to have a whole integrated company around all these things. It's just something Tesla doesn't have. They don't have Tesla phones. They don't have Tesla TV. So the experience in the Apple car is going to be, I think, so much more than an experience in a Tesla car that are autonomous. And so for that reason, I think this is humongous for Apple. This potential is huge. And I really think they are going to deliver on this. Whether it takes to 2025 or 2030, I think we will get there. And there's already a lot of things in play from other companies that are testing out the similar technology, shall we say, but Apple is doing this in a big way and they're wanting to deliver it probably sooner than anybody else, because when you're first to market, that's usually how you win. That's how Tesla has been so, huge as well. They were the first one to really succeed at it and do it big. So Apple is a company that just keeps on innovating and growing, even though people sometimes say, no, it's at its cap. It's the largest, valued company in the world. That don't mean nothing. This company has a huge moat that people don't think about, and it continues to grow and expand. And so I see a huge bright future, and I don't hold it individually, but I hold it through an ETF, but I eventually want to get into Apple individually as a stock. And so I'm excited about this and where Apple is going to go with this. But outside of that, they just have this huge ecosystem in the Apple company that it's just, you have to sit there and think about it. What products do you use in your home? I'm holding my Apple iPhone all the time. I'm putting in my Apple earphones all the time. I'm paying for more Apple memory in my phone because I was almost out, and you really have no choice but to buy it, right? And I know a lot of people that do Apple Music, Apple TV, so on and so forth. So the Apple car is going to be very interesting to add to their mix of products and subscriptions. So for that reason, huge potential for Apple. Now, let's get into Netflix. Netflix is a company I think that a lot more people have tended to be negative on over time, but they've proven them all wrong. Netflix has 214 million subscribers. They're usually compared to Disney Plus, but Disney Plus has about 119 million. So Netflix has about 100 more million subscribers than Disney Plus. Not to mention, Netflix has a huge library of original content. Let's just look at a few things real quick. So the stock is at all-time highs. It keeps going up, and the revenue, look at this revenue. That is what you want to see in a company that you invest in. And then people might ask, what about their subscribers? Well, here's the subscribers, keeps on growing. And something that I found that I brought up was here's a Netflix share of US streaming minutes. Netflix is by far has the highest percentage. I thought YouTube would actually come in first because I spend a lot of time on YouTube as well, but Netflix is just taking people's time more than any other platform. Netflix also recently reported great earnings. They beat earnings per share, they matched revenue, and they beat the subscriptions pretty big. They came in at 4.4 million additions versus the 3.4 million expected. And so this company just keeps on growing. And why are they doing this? You have to put it into perspective. Netflix is investing a lot into its own content, right? Where Disney Plus bought the Star Wars and the Marvel universe, and they're in all these franchises, but yet Netflix is still multitudes bigger than Disney Plus in both subscriber growth, how much it makes per customer, so on and so forth. So what Netflix is doing is they invested for a long time heavily into creating content, and that is paying off big. There is, in my hometown of Albuquerque here, a Netflix studio they opened a few years ago, and they just announced they're expanding it in a big way this year. And so this company is not slowing down, not for no one. And Netflix is, the one thing I like about them is they take chances, right? So Squid Games was a show that a lot of platforms didn't want to take. They felt it was too violent. Well, Netflix took their chance on it, and it became the biggest TV show for Netflix ever. This had 142 million member households globally watch it in the first 4 weeks. That is massive. And, so Netflix is, taking chances, it's growing, it's investing heavily in itself, and it's doing it all with original content. It's not having to depend on franchises like Disney Plus is, and look how that's going. It's not really doing all that well for Disney. In fact, their stock's going down because of some not so good news with their streaming service. It's not growing like they thought it would. So my prediction is that Netflix will be the staple streaming service in all households in the future. They'll be the one that most people just have as the staple service, and all the other streaming platforms they will exchange between, right? So they'll say, oh, let's try HBO Max. Okay, well, let's get rid of that one. Let's try Disney Plus. But Netflix will be the one that they will hold and won't get rid of. That's just my prediction. And so I think Netflix, people just don't think about that. These other companies have the big franchises. Netflix doesn't, and look how much it's succeeding over them. That spells to me like, hey, look at me. I'm over here making all this original content, and it's providing all this profit and growth for us. This is what the people want. And so Netflix, I think, is just doing a great job at expanding and growing its content, its company, and it's also getting into other stuff like gaming, and it's starting to sell merchandise for Squid Games. It's partnering up, I think, with Walmart. So they're doing things now that Disney has done in the past, right? They're now getting into more of an experience type thing. And so it's going to be exciting to see where Netflix grows in the future, but I really think they're going to expand in ways that we're not even thinking of right now. And I think it's exciting, and I think this is a company that you will be happy you got into, because I think the future is going to just have a lot of growth with it. All right, so lastly, we're going to talk about Home Depot. Now, this is probably not the most exciting stock out of these three, but it's one that I hold individually. I don't hold the other two individually. They're through ETFs, which Apple for sure I want to hold individually eventually. But Home Depot, I got into this company because I saw this as a company that invests heavily in technology. And this is something that has proven really positive for them. I have now ordered 2 large orders on their app, and it went really successful. It's very easy, and I just really loved it. So, Home Depot, their stock is also killing it. In fact, I was going to buy more when it was down in like the 280s. Man, am I kicking myself now, because it is now like over 400. So, but Home Depot, recently, they weren't expected to do well with their earnings, but they killed it. So here's some things, the same store sales climbed 6.1% in the quarter, beating the estimates of 2.2%. Consumers are now spending, an average of $82.38 for every visit, an increase of 12.9%. So that means if you go into Home Depot, you're likely to buy about $82.38 of products, which sounds about correct. And so, Home Depot, they also beat their earnings per share, $3.92 versus $3.40, and their revenue was a beat by $36.82 billion versus $35.01 billion. And so, Home Depot is just really doing well. And why is that? Well, let's take a look at this video kind of explaining something I don't think people are thinking of.
We should be thinking immediately is, you know what? Your home is your office. Where do you go to do that? Where does the contractor go, which is more important right now? Less do-it-yourself, more contractor. So, David, Home Depot's in the sweet spot.
All right, so think about this. People heavily renovated their houses during the pandemic. Now they're going to be remodeling their offices, right? The home is not just a home anymore, it's a home and an office. Many companies are going fully or partly work from home, remote, kind of models. And my company, I'm actually working mostly from home, and then I go into the office a few days a week. And so, yes, people are dedicating a room or an area to the office, and they're doing some work on it, and they're going to places like Home Depot to buy the products. You also have to remember that Home Depot isn't just about the homeowners, they're heavily popular with the contractors, right? And so I think people don't think about that. A lot of contractors go to Home Depot, and you'll even see on certain prices it says contractor price, and it's usually lower. And so you have all this work going on the home still, and you're having the contractors working on it, and now people are more comfortable, I think, with people coming into their house. So it's still providing a lot of growth for Home Depot. And Home Depot was also smart. They thought ahead, and what they did is they contracted its own container ship ahead of the holiday season. It has its own ship that it will exclusively carry Home Depot products. And this was a crucial moment that a decision they made for the holiday demands, which they now say they'll have plenty of product for, all the consumers out there. And this is smart on Home Depot. This shows their forward thinking. They have great management. They have great financials. They invest in technology. And they're one of the few companies that Amazon can't touch unless if Amazon built their own home improvement stores. You can't ship, lumber or huge items like that. It's not cost effective. So Home Depot to me is Amazon proof, and they're growing, they're innovating, they make smart decisions. And so I just think, the home market is still very strong. A lot of people are still renovating. I see it in my neighborhood still. And so I think this company just has a very bright future as well. Even after all that stuff slows down, this company just has a lot of, focus on technology and growth. And so they're with a great management team. I just feel they're going to come up with more great things in the future. So there you have it. All three companies. You have Netflix, Apple, and Home Depot. Again, if someone tells you to sell out of these, just tell them, nah, ain't gonna happen. And so I think these are just companies that, they have strong histories. They have very bright futures with stuff that we went over. I think a lot of these things aren't things that people are thinking about, but it's just creating for strong companies that, are quality. And this is the type of research you guys should be doing, right? The type of thinking outside the box. Listen to others, but also listen to yourself. Do your own research. And that's really going to help guide you in becoming successful in the stock market. Home Depot, I think I'm already up about 55% on my investment. That is huge. And so with that said, when you choose companies like that, you're gonna most 90 some percent gonna profit off of that because you did your research. You looked into it. You looked at their future. What are the possibilities? How's this company going to make money? How they're going to grow their profits, right? How are they going to innovate? How's their management team? All that stuff you need to look into, and it's just going to deliver for you. Trust me. So I hope you like these three companies I went over. Please subscribe to my channel. If you like this content, I'm really trying to grow this channel, and I've been putting out a lot more videos recently. I'm trying to really be there for you guys, and so I appreciate your viewership. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I'm going to try to put out at least 1 or 2 more videos before then though, but if I don't, have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time on Mark's Finance and Fitness.